Hello and welcome to the Great Vegan Debate. Obesity has become a large issue for westernized countries such as the United States. We are frantically trying to get this under control. To do so, medical professionals are prescribing medicines with terrible side effects and recommending surgeries that can have long-term uh, effects on our body and decrease our overall strength. So today I would like to propose an alternative, something that would allow for change and for lives lived to the fullest. A plant-based diet provides what we need to get the obesity problem under control, optimize health, and minimize surgeries and medications that are accompanied with symptoms that we do not want in our lives. A plant-based diet is one that excludes or dramatically decreases the amount of animal products consumed. This is backed by a plethora of scientific evidence, and a plant-based diet may be the best option humans have to optimize health and answer ethical and environmental concerns. Cancer and a plant-based diet. Recurrent prostate cancer was observed in a clinical study by Jacqueline Nguyen of 14 men with chronic or recurrent prostate cancer. They were analyzed and monitored under a plant-based diet, and they were watched for PSA levels and whether or not they rose or they fell on a plant-based diet consuming mostly vegetables. The observation was made of an overall decrease of PSA levels in these men, although participant number 10 and number 14 both underwent hormone therapy during this time period, but it was ruled out that this was in no way a connection to the decrease of PSA levels. Another study was performed on red meat. In 2016, the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences came out with a study titled Red Meat and Colorectal Cancer, Exploring the Potential HCA Connections. So in this study, they ultimately concluded that there is an association between red meat intake and colorectal cancer and the way that you cook said red meat. It was observed that grilling it would increase the amount of carcinogens produced. This prompted the International Agency for Research on Cancer to classify red meat as a group 1 carcinogen to humans. A lot of people do not believe that this is so, and they may say that a lot of this evidence and science was backed by people that supported a plant-based diet and therefore were biased, or they do not believe that the observed effects were caused by red meat consumption or any of that. Okay, proper nutrition on a plant-based diet. So a plant-based diet is usually seen to not be the most nutrient dense, which a lot of the vegetables consumed are not, which does require you to eat more. Those who oppose a plant-based diet often counter the nutrition needs by saying that there is a lot of observed deficiencies in people who follow a plant-based diet, and it all comes down to nutrient intake. An article in the UK newspaper tells of a mother's experience with the diet written by Natasha Mann. She notes the mother's experience of how she suddenly noticed her daughter's teeth rotting, her belly's distended, she's thinner than she should be for her age and her height. She observes that all of this seemed to have went away when she reintroduced animal products to her daughter's diet. However, this was noted to be a raw plant-based diet, which means that nothing was processed and nothing was cooked. The processing method and the cooking method are very important in the manner in which we absorb nutrients. Cooking with spices and cooking in general releases nutrients from the food and allows for the body to absorb it better. Um, Although guidance is definitely needed when following a plant-based diet, especially with children, because there are certain supplements that may be required, and you should seek the help of a dietitian if you have no idea what you're doing starting out. This is an example of a nutrition label that shows how processed foods do contain iron and calcium and vitamin A and vitamin C, and this shows that eating processed foods on a plant-based diet, even just a little bit of them, can offer some nutritional benefit as introducing these minerals into the body and helping to meet the daily needs. So what if we don't eat animal products? Won't people starve? So this is something that is huge because people believe that eliminating animal products will cause many to starve, many to lose their main food source. However, this can be true because a study in 2017 investigated improving childhood malnutrition in Uganda by introducing a more productive cow breed to family farms to offer greater yield of milk for the children on the farm. And it was observed that these children on these farms that received the genetically modified cows were overall more nourished than those who did not. So excluding animal products could cause even more starvation in countries that don't necessarily have access to a lot of food. However, Michelle Catham discussed in an online article the potential of veganism to solve world hunger. In 2011, 283 million tons of corn and 260 million tons of soybeans were produced, and on average, 40 to 50% of this corn and 80% of these soybeans were fed to cattle. And these grains are not just from wealthy countries. These are from countries that are poor and are giving up these grains so they can go to the cattle, which is something that is causing starvation there. Eliminating the demand and eliminating the need to produce these animals and animal products creates a large amount of grain that can be used by humans, and it produces a large influx into the market, and the prices will then decrease, and people who are poor and in countries that are currently starving now can have access to cheaper grain and a lot of it to receive the nutrition that they need. Scientists estimate that 70% more food would be available if animal products were eliminated from diets. And this is enough to feed 4 billion people. That's enough to solve world hunger 2 times over. Now we move on to ethics of a plant-based diet. So a plant-based diet solves a lot of the ethical debate around these sentient animals being slaughtered and kept in conditions that are truly awful. There is not enough space for them to walk around, to turn around. Many of them get beat. They have their babies ripped from them. A lot of them are killed without any painkillers or sedatives, or some are, like baby chicks, male chicks, are ground up alive as they are used for meat, and there isn't a care for giving these animals painkillers. Although this is a lot of animals to give painkillers to, which would be a very, very expensive endeavor to try to make sure that these animals do not feel pain before they are killed and while they're being killed, because a lot of them are killed in such a manner that is brutal and would obviously be painful because nobody wants to die. Although this can seem like a really impractical view on factory farming and wanting to decrease the pain and wanting to increase the space for them to walk and the living conditions to be better, it seems very impractical because there is essentially no such thing as family farms anymore. The style of farming that we mostly like to envision of a cow walking around in the yard and chickens following after it and a pig in the barn, it's just not something that is financially practical anymore when thinking about the large production of animal products. So next we discuss the environment because this is a huge issue when it comes to factory farming. According to an article titled Factory Farming from Gale, Opposing Viewpoints and Contexts, factory farming emits a large number of greenhouse gases, and research suggests that large-scale industrial farms are a major contributor to global climate change. This being said, these farms are also polluting the groundwater that we are drinking and polluting the soil around these farms. So it also contaminates the vegetables being grown, or it contaminates the meat that is being consumed by people. It's also a breeding ground for things like salmonella and E. coli and are a huge threat to public health if not monitored properly. So a plant-based diet may not be the answer to everything, and it has a lot of concerns that come with it, such as the nutrition concerns and financial concerns about producing the animal products anymore, and a lot of debate on whether or not it would be practical to remove animal products from people's diet when there are people out there starving who could be depending on it. Although it could possibly be necessary to address the health and wellness and public health issues and ethical issues that surround factory farming and surround consuming animal products. So along with proper education and supplements, a plant-based diet could be a very, very, very beneficial diet to one's health, body, and the public and the environment and everything surrounding it. Thank you.